What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. Aliens Fireteam Elite 2 launches tomorrow, and the developers have spent the last few weeks answering the community directly. Cold Iron ran 2 full rounds of questions on the official Discord, and 18 of them got real answers. I have read both rounds start to finish so that you do not have to. One of them changes how you should play on the higher difficulties. Another is a feature a lot of people simply assumed was in the game, and it is not. There's also something happening later today that you might want to be part of. So let us go through exactly what the developers confirmed. Let us start with the thing that expires because this one is time sensitive. At the end of the August question round, the studio announced a live question and answer session. It runs today at 3 in the afternoon Pacific time. That is Monday, the 24th, the day before launch. It is happening in their own Discord in a channel called Cold Iron Live AMA. So if your question did not get answered in either round, that is your last window before release. They confirmed something related back in July. Somebody asked whether the studio would keep people around who could answer deep technical questions. The answer was a flat yes. Dev and community teams will be present to answer questions and provide guidance where they can. Now here's the answer that surprised me the most out of all 18. Somebody pointed out that in the first game, a dead player was stuck spectating for the rest of the mission. They asked whether that finally changes in the sequel. In most co-op shooters, your teammates can be picked back up later on. And Alien is the one franchise where finding your missing friend cocooned near a pile of eggs makes complete sense. The developers said they loved the idea and had early discussions on how it could work, but it did not make the final set of features for the initial launch. So going down still means sitting the rest of it out. Plan your higher difficulty runs around that because there is no comeback mechanic waiting for you. Friendly Fire got the most detailed answer in the whole second round. Your AI teammates will not deal any damage to you at all. You can still damage them, and Friendly Fire switches on at the intense difficulty and above. They went a lot further than a simple toggle though. Abilities where you have little or no control over the targeting do no friendly damage at all. The Machinist gas turret is their example because you never choose what it fires at. Sentry guns are off the list too, and so is the Marauder perk that automatically fires a rocket when you reload. Flamethrowers were apparently a source of many so flame damage and environmental fire and explosions all had their friendly fire numbers cut significantly. In the first game, friendly fire was one broad number of around 10%. Now they can dial a single ability down to a quarter of that. Here's the one I think most people will want to know about. Somebody asked straight out whether the sequel runs on dedicated servers. It does not. Aliens Fireteam Elite 2 is peer-to-peer for co-op exactly like the first game was. That is worth knowing because your session quality still depends on whoever is hosting, but they have not left it alone either. Host migration is in, so if the host drops out, the session moves to one of the clients. Session rejoin is also in, which means a bad connection no longer ends your night for everybody. Quick play covers campaign missions and Horde mode from day one. You can queue for either one or for both together, and cross-platform play is confirmed for launch day, so the whole squad can be on different systems. 2 answers here for the completionists, and both are good news. A player wrote in saying green stamps and lifetime stats kept them playing the first game for 5 years. The developers confirmed that both systems are returning. They said that same sense of tracking and completion carries forward. The second one is about Horde mode. In the first game, the toughest achievement you could chase was the campaign on Insane, but Horde mode was actually harder and nothing rewarded you for beating it. The developers called Horde some of the toughest and most rewarding content in the first game, so the sequel has Horde-specific achievements plus perks and rewards tied to playing the mode, but achievements will not cover every difficulty milestone across all of the Horde content. The very first question of the July round was about map design, and the answer is a big one. In the first game, levels were built for you to pick a corner and hold it against whatever was coming. With 4 players instead of 3, that entire approach had to open up. The developers described a lot more variety and a lot more verticality. That runs from claustrophobic high-volume encounters to large open arenas with multiple lanes of enemy approach. Their line was that it is not just about holding your ground anymore. Players will be forced to move constantly to survive. That corridor last stand feeling is still in the game, but the spaces around it are much more interconnected, and the enemies were retuned for all of that openness. They are faster at pressuring different angles and better at closing distance on you. Somebody asked whether any of the maps are procedurally generated. The answer is no, and the reasoning is worth hearing. They said the alien visual language does lend itself really well to modular spaces, but they leaned into crafted level design for the main campaign, and they explained why. It lets them control pacing and tension and the set piece moments. What you do get is variability layered on top of that. Dynamic elements change the flow of combat and enemy pressure from one run to the next. And here's what matters for replay value: spawn volumes and enemy mix get increasingly randomized every time a mission loads. That randomization scales up with the difficulty tier you're playing on, so the higher you push, the less predictable each attempt becomes. The specialist got pushed on in both rounds, so let us clear it up properly. If the specialist can access every perk and ability in the game, why bother with the other 5 classes? The developers answered that the specialist gets its power from the other classes rather than replacing them as you play. You unlock abilities on each class, those abilities stay with that class, and they also become available to the specialist. So your specialist is only ever as good as what you built across the other 5. In August, somebody pushed harder and asked why we cannot just build one Marine from scratch. That answer was unusually candid, but it was too big a departure for a sequel and for how upgrades work underneath. They wanted an evolution of the first game rather than a rebuild that jarred the existing fan base, and they finished by saying they are still debating it internally. Now, the answers that were not a yes, the very first August question asked about a post-launch roadmap. There is not one. They would like to support the game well beyond launch and are actively planning what that looks like. At launch, the focus is a strong experience and quick responses to player feedback. Nothing is dated and nothing is promised. Somebody asked specifically about adding the phalanx later through downloadable content. They want to see how players engage with the existing 6 first. That data decides whether new classes are the right next step. Back in July, people also wanted assurances that the first game's rough launch will not repeat. They called that a fair concern and committed to prioritizing high-impact issues and stability. It is worth holding them to that. 2 quality-of-life answers now, and both are partial wins. You can manually swap shoulders while you are aiming down sights, and when you are in cover, the camera shifts automatically based on the direction you're facing. Outside of aiming or cover, though, the camera stays locked to the left. They held off on full free swapping because of how complex the mirroring gets. The second one is a firing range in the hub. That idea got discussed internally and then pulled back. You can still equip and fire anything you have unlocked or purchased. There is an infinite ammo crate in the hangar and a railing for testing the cover system, and you can burn consumables in the hub without actually losing them. This next one is the question I respect them most for answering. Somebody asked whether perks get gated behind the paid packs. The concern was pay to win, and they did not dodge it. They said paid content must be compelling to buy without ever feeling like pay to win. Their rule on augments is that one picked every single time is a design failure. Rain's augment only works on her own weapon. The Herc and Ripley weapon augments can be moved onto other weapons. And most importantly, these packs add no unique perks to your perk board. There are small perks unlocked at weapon rank 3 that other weapons also grant. One more for the record, they confirmed no generative AI was used for any images or textures or models or audio. So that is 18 developer answers with less than a day to go. The headlines for me are the ones that change how you actually play. There is no reviving a dead teammate at launch. Friendly fire only starts at intense, and your AI squad can never hurt you. And there is no roadmap yet, so post-launch support is a wait and see. The live session runs at 3 this afternoon Pacific time. The game itself lands tomorrow. Now I want to hear from you. Does the lack of revives change how you will approach the harder difficulties? And which of the 6 classes are you starting with? Subscribe and turn notifications on so you do not miss what I put out at launch. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.